Before we begin, a quick note. This documentary combines publicly reported information with strategic analysis. Some conclusions discussed represent informed assessments rather than confirmed outcomes. What if the most important battle in the Middle East isn't being fought with missiles, but with economics? Over the past several days, tensions between the United States and Iran have intensified, drawing global attention back to one of the world's most strategically important waterways, the Strait of Hormuz. While headlines have focused on military operations, the deeper story may be about something far more consequential: the struggle over economic leverage, regional influence, and long-term strategic endurance. The Strait of Hormuz is much more than a narrow stretch of water. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, roughly 20% of the world's petroleum liquids pass through this corridor, making it one of the most critical energy choke points in the global economy. Any disruption here has the potential to affect oil prices, international trade, and energy security far beyond the Middle East. In recent weeks, both sides have exchanged military actions, with reports of strikes targeting military infrastructure and continued concerns over maritime security. The U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, has stated that its operations are intended to protect U.S. forces, maintain freedom of navigation, and safeguard commercial shipping in the region. But military operations tell only part of the story. From a strategic perspective, conflicts are rarely decided solely by firepower. They are also shaped by logistics, financing, industrial capacity, and the ability to sustain operations over time. This is where Kharg Island becomes especially important. Kharg Island serves as Iran's primary oil export terminal and has long been considered one of the country's most valuable economic assets. Because a significant share of Iran's crude oil exports passes through this facility, analysts often describe it as central to Iran's economic resilience. Control over energy infrastructure can influence a conflict just as much as military success on the battlefield. Destroying military equipment may reduce immediate capabilities. Disrupting revenue streams can affect a nation's ability to rebuild those capabilities in the future. That distinction helps explain why energy infrastructure frequently becomes a focal point during periods of heightened regional tension. At the same time, Iran faces a difficult strategic balancing act. According to many regional security analysts, Tehran must carefully weigh every military response against its broader political, economic, and diplomatic objectives. A stronger response could increase the risk of wider international involvement, while excessive restraint could weaken its deterrence posture in the eyes of both domestic and regional audiences. The United States faces a balancing act as well. Washington has consistently emphasized maintaining freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz, while seeking to avoid a broader regional conflict that could destabilize global energy markets. Official statements from CENTCOM continue to highlight the protection of commercial shipping and regional security as primary operational objectives. Beyond the immediate military developments, several global powers are watching closely. China depends heavily on energy imports that transit through the Persian Gulf. European economies remain sensitive to fluctuations in global oil prices. Meanwhile, Gulf states have a strong interest in preserving regional stability to protect investment, trade, and economic growth. In other words, this is no longer simply a regional dispute. It is a global strategic issue. Perhaps the most significant lesson from this crisis is how modern geopolitics has evolved. Today's competition is not defined only by tanks, aircraft, or naval fleets. Economic sanctions, energy infrastructure, financial pressure, cyber capabilities, diplomatic influence, these have become equally important instruments of national power. Military operations may shape events in the short term, but long-term strategic outcomes are often determined by economic endurance and political resilience. That is why many analysts argue that the contest surrounding the Strait of Hormuz is ultimately about much more than shipping lanes. It is about who can maintain influence over one of the world's most important energy corridors. It is about protecting national interests without triggering a wider regional war. And it is about whether economic leverage can achieve strategic objectives that military force alone cannot. Of course, the situation continues to evolve rapidly. Information emerging during active conflicts is often incomplete, and official reporting may change as new evidence becomes available. While military developments can alter the tactical picture overnight, the broader geopolitical consequences usually unfold over months or even years. One conclusion, however, is already becoming clear. The future of this confrontation will not be determined solely by missiles launched or targets struck. It will also depend on energy security, economic resilience, international diplomacy, and the strategic decisions made far from the battlefield. In modern geopolitics, the side that controls the flow of resources can sometimes shape the outcome more effectively than the side that controls the battlefield. And that may prove to be the defining lesson of the Strait of Hormuz. If you enjoy thoughtful analysis of geopolitics, global strategy, and international affairs, consider subscribing for more documentaries like this. I'm Professor Jiang Xueqin, and thank you for watching.